I want to get into these players who could just cruise on by and say, bowl game, schmoll game. It used to be a big deal. Then Christian McCaffrey did it, and it's not such a big deal. But there are guys that could skip the bowl game, and nowadays it seems to make sense. We used to question their character. That seemingly has changed. So let's dive into some of those guys that could forego a bowl game, and it's brought to you by Don Self of State Farm. Customer service still matters. Everybody wants a great price, and I get that, but their State Farm agent, Don Self, and his team, they take customer service seriously. How about when those claims come in? Well, they've been taking those for over 40 years, so they want to take care of you. Greater Chattanooga area, go to donself.net, donself.net. Josh, how do you view players that move on to the NFL? It used to be a dastardly thing that screamed unsportsmanlike and lack of team integrity, but it just ain't that way anymore.
Yeah, when that happened with Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette, they both did it in the same season. I recall the outrage, the uproar over McCaffrey deciding, I'm not going to go play in the Sun Bowl. I'm going to get ready for the NFL. And my thought then and my thought today continues to be, well, hold on. If coaches at the end of the regular season can jump from one school to the next, why can't a player jump from one school to the pros? What's the difference? If a coach is hired at a school, I think fans almost always expect that coach to come work for them immediately, not coach his team at the bowl game. But they expect the players to operate differently when they have more to lose in that situation. So, yeah, if a player wants to opt out, totally fine with it. My preference, selfishly, would be for all the players to go out there and play in the bowl game because it makes it more competitive, creates more storylines. But you also have the storyline of, okay, well, if somebody has to be replaced, who gets to step up and have an opportunity and kind of look ahead to the next year? So we can come up with endless angles to it. But if you're looking at it as a selfish move of a player deciding to go ahead and prepare for the NFL draft, that's actually selfish on the fan side.
Well, Josh, it's funny you say that because I think players, unless it's a playoff game, which I don't think we're going to see any player do soon. I mean, that might happen at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. If it's a meaningless bowl, if it's a bowl game with no championship aspirations, isn't it kind of a win-win? Doesn't everybody benefit if the player opts out? Because they're going to be going to the NFL drafts anyway. So wouldn't you rather have those bowl practices be with the guy, like you said, who's going to replace the player and have him go ahead and get those first team reps anyway so you can see what you want? Like, what good is it for you to have a player who's going to play in the bowl game that's not even going to be there next year?
Caleb has a theory, Josh. It's shoot all seniors.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Unless you really like them and you want to see them play one more time, maybe. I don't agree that it
is just hobble them Kerrigan style.
Yeah. I don't agree that bowl games are meaningless. I don't think they carry the same value as the regular season, but I don't think they're meaningless because I watched Tennessee win the Orange Bowl and how much fans enjoyed the game and how fans traveled to the game and how they bragged about the win against Clemson after the fact. So you can't have all of that and then also say the game is meaningless. I would also say that you like to win football games. So the better players you have, like if we're talking about guys that can go to the NFL, well, you'd prefer to have them on your team if you're a coach because you want to have a better chance to win the game. You can still get them the practice reps because those guys will probably get a break in the month of December. I also think the practice time they get in December or even the bowl game reps that they get in a game, it can be greatly overstated the impact it will have on the next season. I think what guys will do in the next season is more about what they do in the weight room in the off season, the time they spend together, film, everything that they do for an 8 to 9 month period of time to prepare, as opposed to practices in December when things are kind of all over the place, including coaches who are focused on recruiting and the transfer portal and travel. But that also doesn't mean that time is completely meaningless. I just think we can overstate it. Similar to when we talked about Nico this year. Nico should have gotten more reps at the end of games. I think if he had played against Austin Peay, it would have zero impact on what he will be next season. We have too many examples of quarterbacks in the old redshirt rules that never played a snap as true freshmen, and then his redshirt freshman went out there and balled out. If Peyton Manning had never played in 1994, I still think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and nothing changes about his history.
I respect that. I think it's individual. I think how a guy handles either being benched or getting the hell beat out of him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, everything's
Ford
individual.
Fresh.
That would be
Yeah.
the point. Like, as a general blanket statement, I think it's greatly overrated what we talk about, what they do in the month of December or what happens in a bowl game. Also, we don't know what the opponent has to offer. Like, didn't we kind of overrate? I think I did some of what we saw from Tennessee against Clemson in the Orange Bowl, partly knowing after the fact that, yeah, Clemson had a lot of stuff to get worked out on its own side. But that Orange Bowl victory created maybe too much hype of what Tennessee's offense could be in 2023.
Yeah,
Dave
I
will
know.
tell you I did not overrate that bowl game.
No,
Dave will
you
tell
didn't.
you.
And a player within, well, anyway, there were some people surprised about how well Joe Milton played last year. So let's play a little game called 4 Downs. What should these cats do? And it's brought to you by Herald Group Security Solutions. I'm going to ask you about 4 names that I think have very significant decisions to be made, and then we'll throw in some more. If you have them, put them on the message board right now. Click that like and subscribe button. 4 Downs is right now brought to you by Herald Group Security Solutions.
4 downs, 4 questions, 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
Downs, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Did you know that Herald Group Security Solutions can make your workplace and your children's school area safer? Just Google Herald Group Security Solutions or go to heraldgrp.com. Highly trained individuals. Let's avoid the tragedies that we have seen in the past. Herald Group Security Solutions, a lot of times formerly in the military, and highly trained individuals that will certainly take care of you. So, you know, one of the guys that we're going to talk about is going to be it is. But first, Coop, what should people do?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right. So I got a couple of questions for you. Coop's got the down.
Coop here. First down.
All right. Tennessee fans would rather see Joe Milton go all out, or Nico go out there and play a slightly above average game. Josh, what do you say?
So they know those results ahead of time. I have to imagine they pick Joe balling out, because if Nico goes out there and plays a slightly above average game, I think that creates some concern heading into the offseason. I think they'd rather the unknown with the anticipation that he will be an elite player versus less than stellar results to diminish the expectations for next season. Because if Nico plays slightly above average, that will be below what most fans expect for him if he makes his first start.
There's a lot of I'm a believers out there. Let me just ask you it way more simple. Do you think Tennessee fans would rather see 60 minutes of Joe or 60 minutes of Nico?
Yeah, take off the results, Nico, without any question.
What about you, Caleb?
I'm going to say slightly above average with Nico, because I still think if Nico's slightly above average, Tennessee fans will exercise plausible deniability of he's young, he'll be fine in the future, he's going to be great, he's got a whole off season to get ready. Look, I mean, we know this, like backup quarterbacks, first year and backup quarterbacks and new head coaches have the longest leash in sports. Like they have a very long leash, because it's all, they'll get better with time. And they just need time. And so I think Nico playing slightly above average will still be fine for people.
Nico playing average to below average. Peyton Manning, what do you think of that?
Like, that is total bullshit.
Who said
Damn
that?
right.
Who said average to below average?
I just did. All right. So what down now, Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
All right. So second down is this. What do you think Tyler Barron's going to do? I get hints, and even you and I texted about it. It just seems like he might forego a bowl game. Would that be a surprise to you, Josh?
Yeah, he might be the closest to that decision of opting out versus playing in the bowl game. I'd be surprised if Barron's back next season. I think his plan is for the NFL draft and to move on and be a pro, which I think is a fine decision. I think he's probably ready. So I think he's in a position, him and maybe a couple others that are really close, but Barron opting out and deciding to prepare for the draft would not surprise me at all.
Caleb, you think we'll see Barron in the bowl game? Yet to be determined.
I think we might, guys. I'm not so sure Barron's not going to come back, quite honestly. Only because I think Barron, to this point, has still been underwhelming with his career. Now, he was a lot better this year, and the tape will show that he should have had about 10 more sacks. And I don't know any player in the SEC that was held more than Tyler Barron this year. But in terms of
Yeah,
just
but the thing
raw-
is that what's changed though, Caleb, is used to be Philip Fulmer would tell people if you're not a first round pick, you should come back and improve yourself to a first round pick. Now, guys, if you're a third or fourth round pick, you get to that second contract sooner, which is the payday contract.
True, which actually, funny enough, just quick side note, Philip Fulmer, even if you were a first-round pick, he said at SEC Media Days 2007 that he thought Robert Meacham should have stayed another year, which was ridiculous. Robert Meacham definitely should have gone pro after that 2006 season.
Yeah, Meacham made the right call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's hard to argue that with the way the contract structure is, Josh, that you wouldn't be better off going for 3 or 4 or 3 years, get a 3-year contract because you're not drafted in the first round, playing that contract out. And we can talk NIL money all you want to, but the rookie minimum $750K. I think if you're a player not a quarterback, you're not approaching $750K in NIL from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it does depend. I see numbers all across the board, but the on-3 projection of a high-ranking defensive lineman or offensive lineman was in the like 200 to 300 range, and maybe that's being a little optimistic in some cases. So you're going to make more in the NFL. I look at it as if you are ready to go and you will be drafted and you will be on an NFL team, then it's a good idea to go to the NFL because you never know. You can improve your stock. You can also get hurt. You might not improve your stock. I mean, that's not a guarantee, and you'll be older, a year older. Like especially if we're talking about a 4 to 5 year player, NFL teams might look at it and say, "Hey, we'll take the 21-year-old versus the 23 or even 24-year-old in some cases." So that plus you start making money, you can start growing money. It's not my job to be responsible for them, but if they make the right choices with the money that they are given, then they're going to be good to go.
Well, then I think I know your answer on third down.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
If it's Jaylen Ward instead of Jaylen Wright, he's going to get drafted. Are you
Long
telling
gone.
him to?
I would be long gone.
Wow, not even a question. Caleb, question?
The position he plays is the biggest factor.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
as a
would
running
be
back, I'm out immediately as a running back. And the running back more than anything is like the second contract because if I have a good first year, I'm holding out in my second year of the NFL. So, it's if I have a splash of a first year, that's it. I want
I love it.
immediate holdout. Immediate. It's funny that Chris Johnson.
I think you should share that with everyone at your introductory press conference. I hope I have a good year because I'm sure as hell holding out the second year.
Well, everybody got mad at Chris Johnson for doing that for the Titans years ago. He did it after his second year, but it's like he just rushed for 2,000 yards and he's on a rookie scale making 800,000. Of course, he's going to want to hold out and get a big contract.
Yeah, I do feel for running backs. It's such a difficult spot because if I had a running back who even did that, I wouldn't give him any more. I would try to help him find some marketing deals, which you can do as a pro. By the way, don't forget that when we talk about NIL. It's supposed to be name, image, likeness, which means marketing, branding. You can do that as a professional. It doesn't stop after college.
Yeah, they're not going to show up in the local IGA is going to be like, I got nothing to do with that guy. Now, this one I've heard varying reports on via my sources.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
And we're not talking about Coop. For the record, Coop's going to try to come back, and they need to get some NIL money together for him. Bru McCoy, though, I got initially after the injury, and maybe it was emotions, that he was definitely coming back, but he's been in college since I believe 1984. So there's reason for him to think I've had enough of this. You could say the same thing for Coop. And I was told by an NFL scout, and you and I discussed this briefly, Josh, a couple of months ago, that he was the best overall prospect on Tennessee's team for the NFL. Now that was before we knew about James Pierce. Okay, so this is months ago. But if you're that highly regarded by the NFL, I know you have a terrible injury. But again, if you think you can get drafted, I understand the thinking. Although if that was Bru Hooker, I would say come back for another year.
Yeah, part of it is, again, the price tag to come back. But he would be an example of somebody I'm talking about. You're already older. He's dealt with multiple injuries during his time in college at multiple schools. Part of it could be, hey, I want to come back and play a healthy year of football. What if he does get hurt again, even if it's not a significant injury? I mean, that could really scare off NFL teams a year from now. So I don't know exactly where his stock is, but if Bru can be a mid-round pick, that's really difficult to pass on because if he's good enough to play in the NFL as a mid-round pick, he'll play, and then he can make some money. and there's risk of injury at the next level, but he will have secured more money in the NFL than if he comes back. So it's a tricky spot. Part of it is how much can he do leading up to the draft to show teams what he can be physically, where exactly is his stock, and how much can he get to come back. But there is risk coming back to college if you think about his long-term career.